while it is called today, lest any of you be hardened through the deceitfulness of sin. For we are made partakers of Rastafari, if we hold the beginning of our confidence steadfast unto the end. Greetings, giving thanks, Ras reporting ahead of the time, running down the line. U.S. wants to get some emails from the Irish. The Irish are saying no. It's a big deal. It's Microsoft. They want Microsoft. They're requesting Microsoft to hand over data. So this is how confusing it gets in our time, because they themselves are servants of corruption. How can they promise us liberty? Microsoft has been in cahoot, working together close with the NSA and the United States government since its conception. Okay, this is like, you have to think about this for a minute here. They themselves are servants of corruption. How can they promise us liberty? This Mr. Bill Gates, this guy, okay, he would have never become as so-called wealthy and as powerful as he has become unless he didn't have the United States government at his back. And who are the United States government's working for? The corporations that are already put in place. See, the ruling rulers always want to rule. Who wants to lose their rule? And who wants to lose what they have? What do you have? Do you have a TV? Do you have a radio? Do you have a CD? Do you have anything? Do you have food? Do you want somebody to come and take your lunch? While it's sitting there right in front of you, you begin to eat? Of course not. So it's the same thing with the ruling classes. They got lunch too. They got a lot of lunch. And they don't want nobody to come take their lunch. Not even a little pea. In fact, they want more peas every day because that's human nature. This is you have to understand that we are dealing with the laws of the land. And the laws of the land is what the Rastafari, the master, has commanded us. Okay? And we have to follow these laws within our hearts. But these certain people, they don't have to follow no laws. Why? Because they're evil. They're evil. So why should we be subject to them? Again, you know, it's all a ploy. The U.S. doesn't have to get the Irish permission or Microsoft's permission to get the Irish's emails. They've already got them. In order to them to pursue somebody in the court of law, then they have to get Microsoft's permission. That way, nobody knows what they're doing, right? You can't fool nobody. They want to check Mars to see if they can turn carbon dioxide into oxygen. So they're going up to Mars to figure that out right now. I won't spend a lot of time on these kinds of issues, but it's absurd. You know, the idea that we get these little snippets of news is always to keep the ruling and the middle classes, which is the house makers, interested. They keep them interested in the system. It's just like Lady D. Rothschild said not too long ago to somebody who made a remark about her wealth. And instead of saying, well, you know, I am wealthy and, you know, we deserved it and whatever, or, you know, you can get there too and this kinds of thing, what she said was, at least I'm not boring. And what was she referring to? She was referring to the capital shitstem. She was saying that the capital shitstem is not boring. In other words, socialism or social living is boring. And on the surface, it may appear to be. And it may appear that she doesn't quite comprehend the own system that she claims to have ownership over. But, you know, these are hirelings. She's just another Sarah Palin. You know, they hire her because she's a good spokesperson. These men, they don't have no loyalty to a wife. Are you kidding me? They don't have loyalty. So, you know, she's probably fooled. She's probably been misdirected. But the reality is that socialism would not be boring at all. Just think about it like this. You can Google Earth, these enormous mansions all over the place, right? They're in this country. You'd be surprised how many people actually have these gigantic houses. And it's probably not one household per house. it's probably one person owns multiple properties. With the social living system, this would eliminate this. There would no longer be this type of inequality where this guy has more properties than he can count, and somehow we, who don't have any money and living in little trailers, keep voting for him every single year. Because through capital, he's created a magic show. They're masters of witchcraft. And they have persuaded people through their sorcery to continue on this path of destruction, because it's the only way they could have persuaded people. But Satan is the father of lies, so Satan is able to do that. He has the power in his jurisdiction, but not forever. And if we create this system now, then we can go ahead and take ownership over those particular pieces of property that were stolen from us. We can take our ownership back. And we can take the children in and we can give them a place to live. We can all give them a place to live. Could you imagine, instead of one person having 20 or 30 properties and gold and all these things, but we have buildings that children that don't have homes can go live in. The situation with Donald Sterling, this is an old bit of news, but you begin to think about it and you say to yourself, you know, with all these racist comments that man made, I think that people overlooked some of the bigger issues. And one of the biggest issues is that the fact that this man's phone was being tapped. And where was it being tapped? Who was tapping it? It just goes to show you that those phones can be hacked into. They're not like the old landlines. Even though the old landlines could be hacked into, it was more expensive for them to do so. So, what did they do? Well, they made up this bit about how, you know, we're being threatened, not really us here in the United States, but the European kings and queens with their system is being threatened. So we need to go to war and take out these threats, like in Vietnam and other places. And meanwhile, we are constantly developing. We need to have this, because if we don't, the Russians are going to come. They're going to invade us. So in creating what we have, that information is leaked to the Russians. So now they've got the same thing we have, and so does China. So it creates this kind of perpetual competition. It keeps driving the capitalist system in the interest of the ruling classes that continue to benefit every single generation. And it's just interesting now that all of our communications, telecommunications, internet, and everything else can be monitored and recorded. And you just have to understand that. You have to put that into perspective. If you were the one that was able to do that, to record everybody's conversation, what could you do with that information? And is there really any limitations about what you could do with that information? So it's important to understand that it's not the NSA and, you know, this group that's trying to save us from Russia. No, with the capitalist system, everything becomes privatized. And companies are started, and they hire hackers, these young kids who learn computers in school because they're trained through our system, in order to work for these companies, so they can go in and they can find out what other people are saying. They can pry into other people's business. They have these new security devices that they're putting in people's houses, Honeywell and these other groups, that have microphones. They're recording people. You know, they came to my street, tried to give me a super good deal, a free security system or something. This was over a year ago. But I understand, no, because the technology's there. You know, they even have roaches now with little microphones. So if you see a roach running around your house, you don't know what it is. And I know that sounds pathetic and sounds crazy, but the U.S. Marine Corps tested a new robotic pack mule last month in the military training area in the island. So they've already, you know, they've got those mules, those beasts that run around on the hills. And this is probably maybe the last point I'll make on this video.